Georgia Griffith has been one of Australia's best middle distance runners for many years. She first represented Australia at the 2014 World Juniors and has since been to 2 World Champs, 1 Commonwealth Games and 1 Olympic Games. Her best result to date is arguably a semi-final appearance over 1500 at the 2019 Doha World Champs. With PBs of 2 minutes .13 over 800 and 4:04 over 1500, she belongs to a small group of women capable of beating the likes of Linden and Jessica Hull. She recently finished second over 1500 at the Australian Champs, so we caught up with Georgia as she prepares for another European season. Before we get into it, a quick word from this week's sponsor. This episode is brought to you by ASICS. ASICS has launched the Gel Nimbus 24, a new iteration within the Gel Nimbus family, while also debuting the FF Blast Plus technology, giving runners the most impact protection yet. The new FF Blast Plus technology is a foam-based design, making the shoe 20 grams lighter than its predecessor, while providing a more energised toe-off and softer landing in every step. The Gel Nimbus 24 running shoe is available for men and women from ASICS Retail, online stores and specialist running outlets in Australia from March 16, 2022. Retails for $240. Georgia, lovely to have you on Runner's Tribe. We've done a few written interviews with you over the years, but never a podcast, so welcome.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Sam. Very excited to be on the podcast.
I hear you just raced at Stawell over the weekend in the 1K and had a win. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so it was really exciting. I haven't really done too many of those handicap races. I did one, the Parkdale one a bit earlier in the year. And I got to say, I found that pretty, confusing and not what I expected. So I sort of went into Stawell just being like, oh, it's going to be a bit of fun to just see how it goes. And I hadn't really tapered for it. And actually, to be honest, the week before I'd had such a bad week of training. I was just like, oh, let's just try and hang in there. But yeah, I ended up winning, which was, a really nice result. And it was lots of fun to head out to Stawell as well, because I hadn't been before. First time there.
So how did that race work? Like, you on the back marker, were you?
No, so it was a really good field. So Linden was on the back marker because she's got the record, and then Katrina Bissett, she was off 2 meters, and then me and Abby were off 7 meters. And there were 8 girls all in the race. So it was a really good field. And me and Abby sort of went off, and she was in front of me, and I just tried to tuck in and hang on. And I think there were sort of 2 packs, the front pack, and then Abby, me, Linden, Katrina. And I sort of wasn't really the race I did in the Parkdale. I feel like I spent so much mental energy thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so far from the front, I got to catch up. But this one, I think I was just a bit more relaxed and just tried to relax in it. And then with 200 to go, felt like I had a bit of a kick. And coming into the home straight, managed to get in front. And I was sort of thinking, oh no, where's Linden and Katrina coming? Because I know they're such good athletes and were gaining. But it was I won, and it was pretty exciting.
How was the atmosphere?
There were so many people there. It was such a great event. It was such nice weather Saturday, Sunday, and then on the Monday it was a bit more rainy and drizzly, but even with that there was still lots of people there. And obviously the 120 meter race, the really big one, that was really exciting to watch as well. Lots of atmosphere for that, really tense and quiet when they go off. It was a great day.
A few weeks ago, you finished second at Nationals over 1500, and you beat home Linden Hall, and it was outkicked by Abby. And how was were you happy with that run? Was it obviously you've had a few niggles and injuries, but you're back running pretty well?
I think I was really probably a month before I was sort of feeling like I was still just building up and probably wanted to be a bit further ahead. I'm sure everybody thinks that as well. So I think, yeah, considering my sort of slow lead up into the season, I'm absolutely really happy with second. But I think like every athlete, there's always like a few things in the race that you'd like to do differently. And yeah, there were just a few things I was like, oh, I wish I changed that. But yeah, and it was a tough race. And I think, yeah, second in that, especially, yeah, my slower build up, I'm, yeah, really happy with that.
Such a tough run for Linden, hey, like however good she is, it's just such a hard way to try and win.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it was so windy. The conditions were not good. And yeah, because I guess well, she's a really talented 800 runner as well, Linden. But she probably knows that her strength is just going out really hard, and she probably didn't want to leave it to a kick. But it's so hard trying to lead it, and yeah, especially when it's windy. I did feel for her when I was tucking in behind her on the home straight. Yeah, you could feel the wind, and I was like, oh, it's going to be tough, Linden. Yeah.
The depth in women's middle distance running these days is getting pretty crazy. Much like the men's, really, like kind of on par with each other. And if someone had told you before the race that you beat Linden, then you probably assume that you'd win. And then Abby came in and kind of took the race. Like, how much is all this just raising the bar for everyone?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's just so much depth, like across the 800 and 1500. Like the 1K race that Store yesterday, just like the quality was amazing. And it's going to be so tough to make the teams, absolutely. But I think it's really exciting as well, because it just sort of pushes everyone. Like last year with Linden and Jess, like trading the 1500 record, and I think as well Abby in it now as well. It's just gonna, I reckon, raise the bar, and I reckon we'll see some really great performances this year for women's middle distance.
You've so where to from here? Like you're not a stranger to major championships. You raced 2019 Worlds, the Com Games in 18, the Worlds in 17, I believe. Correct me if I got any of that wrong. But where to from here? What's the strategy to make Eugene and Com Games as well?
It's going to be tough. I'm planning to go to Europe. I'm going to do a race in Japan on the 8th of May, and then base in London and do some races around there. And hopefully, I feel like I've sort of been able to be still building like each week. So hopefully can run a little quicker overseas. It's definitely going to be really tough. I've changed coaches recently, and I think the new change and sort of different training style, I'm not trying to put too much pressure on myself. Last year, trying to make the Olympics was just pretty mentally tough and exhausting. And I think my focus this year, just to be healthy and try and run some PBs. Obviously, would love to make the teams, but I'm going to have those as my focus, and we'll see what happens.
So tell me about the coach change.
So I'd been with Steve Ellinghaus for 10 years. He got me, I started in year 9, like a 240, 800 meter runner. And he got me to the Olympics, which it was, a really good journey with him. And there was honestly not anything I didn't like about the training. It's just, I'd been with him for 10 years. And after the Olympics, I think as well, I was like a bit burnt trying to like squeeze everything to try and make the team and get to the race. I think I just wanted a bit of a change. So I took a bit of time, and then I ended up going with Nick Badeau as my coach in Melbourne Track Club. And it's a bit different, some of the training philosophies, but I got to say I'm really liking the new challenges and the new environment. And I've got a lot of trust in Nick as well. And I'm sort of excited to see how it goes, because I know it'll take a bit of time adjusting to the new training, but looking forward to where it goes.
It's hard. It's always hard leaving a coach after like a decade. Hey, it's kind of like a relationship breaking up. But
absolutely. It was so tough because I have like so much respect for Steve, and it was like such a great environment to be a part of, and I absolutely loved it. So I think especially when I was like, oh, I think I need to make a change, and I had that chat, and I was sort of like, oh no, I just said noticed something that was really good, and I wasn't really sure what I was doing next. So it was, a really tough spot. But I think, change is just like so many athletes need just to, new environments. And tough, but
And so is the training now with Nick, how's it changed mainly for you? Is there more mileage and more focus on that kind of aerobic work, or is not so much?
So my weekly mileage at the moment is actually pretty similar to what it was previously. Just some of the sessions are a bit longer, shorter recoveries, still doing some faster stuff towards the end of the session. But definitely, I think, shorter recoveries and longer volume for some of the sessions. So really working on that aerobic base, which I would say probably isn't my strong suit. But still doing, some sort of anaerobic type speed stuff too. So
just at the end of like a first shoulder or 1K rep session or something.
More so like our track sessions will start off with more aerobic stuff and then move down to sort of shorter, faster things, which previously I'd just be doing the shorter, faster things. Without the aerobic warm up.
Got you. And you're based in Melbourne, right? So you're doing that with the squad?
Yeah, I am. It's been really nice to have that big squad and lots of girls to train with. Yeah.
Great. And no doubt doors will most likely open for you now that maybe weren't open before in terms of, getting starts at big races and stuff. Is that obviously part of it as well?
I hope so. I think, Nick's so good at sort of choosing races and also getting his athletes into races. So I hope as well, that would be a really nice bonus as well. We'll see how it goes in Europe.
You're a good junior. I think you went to Eugene in 2014 and raced World Juniors. Did you consider kind of after that junior, I know you didn't start until you're like 15 or something, but in between the ages of 15 and 18, you had quite a lot of success. Like, did you consider going down the NCAA road or not really?
Yeah, I definitely thought about it. I'd sort of moved around quite a bit as a kid. Like, I think I'd been to sort of 5 different primary high schools. And I felt like I had just settled in Melbourne. So I moved to Melbourne at the end of year 9. And I was just really like, that was just my base. And I really didn't want to go and move overseas and sort of do it all again and be the new kid on the block. I think if I hadn't moved around as much, I definitely would have considered it a lot more. Because looking, sometimes I'm like, oh man, that would have been really cool to do the NCAAs. Because the experience and it just seems really fun. But at the time, I think I really liked being set up in Melbourne and didn't want to move again.
I remember chatting to a mutual friend that we have last year leading into the Olympics, and they were saying you had a few niggles and you just kind of weren't at 100%. What was happening? What sort of niggles were you having, and how much did that kind of get in the way of your Olympic prep?
Yeah, so it was a bit of a battle trying to make the team. So I think in 2020, after sort of nationals was cancelled, I got a stress reaction in my femur. I hadn't had any like bony injuries before, and that was probably my biggest injury. And even though, I think that took 2 or 3 months to get back from, and even though that was fine and healed, I think having that long off, like from training and the track, it just sort of, I think this is really common with lots of runners. You have like one thing and then all these other things crop up. So I think that was sort of the start of it. And then coming into 2021, I had like my Achilles, and then it turned into my plantar. And then my plantar was probably my biggest annoyance for 2021. And so the week before nationals, I was like, I don't know if I can even make it through the heat and then do the final. Like, I think it's just going to be too sore. So I actually ended up deciding to sit out nationals and get a cortisone in my plantar. So that was 2 weeks off running. I was like able to cross train. I was like, okay, not ideal at all to miss nationals in, the lead up to the Olympics, but there were those races over in Queensland later, closer to when the qualifiers ended, that I really wanted to target. And I'm like, okay, let's do the cortisone and target those. And after 2 weeks, my plantar did feel better. But then I didn't think training was going okay. And then I felt like a pop and I had torn my plantar in training. And that was about, I think, like 3 or like 4 weeks to when the qualifiers closed. And I was like, oh man, this is pretty bad time. Oh no, maybe it was 5 weeks. And I was like, oh, this is not great timing. Yeah, so I got a scan. Yeah, it was torn. And then I was like, I think just because I think COVID sort of extended, like end of 2019, I was like, okay, I'm going to put all my eggs into trying to make the team for the Olympics. And then COVID sort of extended it by a year. So it felt like it was just, I just put so much into trying to make the team. And I was like, no, I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to like cross train. So I took, I think, like a week and a half, 2 weeks off. And I was just doing like so much cross training. And I had then it was like 3.5 weeks to the qualifiers close. Like AA had given me sort of, because I was in the quota for being selected, and they gave me a time that I had to run to sort of prove fitness. And I think I did 3 track sessions where I was just like, oh gosh, like I got to give it everything. And then I had a time trial. I was actually meant to go to Sydney to do a race, but Sydney then went into like lockdown, and we tried to set up a race in Melbourne, but COVID, you can't really set up a race like with a week's notice. And luckily I was able to do like a sort of an official time trial. And I was so nervous before, the time trial, because I was like, this is my one shot. I pretty much knew I had to run like 4:07 to have a shot, like be in the running. I managed to do, I think, like 4:07.3 in the time trial. And even then I still had to wait a week to find out if that was enough. And then I made the team, which I was like so ecstatic about. And like it seemed like training was sort of going well. And then the week, I think 10 days out from my race in Tokyo, I think it was just because I was just like pushing my body so much and not like giving it like enough. Like I think these injuries, if I had enough time to sort of recover, they wouldn't have even been too bad. But I was just trying to like rush and squeeze. I ended up, this was like my last hard track session before my race. My like calf like sort of seized up, and I think I had a bit of a small tear. I didn't end up getting it scanned, so the 10 days before my race were not so great. But I was like, my calf is going to be running, like I'm going to be pushing it. I don't care how it's feeling. And like, luckily, I did, manage to make it to the start line and get through the race. Obviously, like, you want to get to the Olympics, at your best. And it's sort of sucked to finish and be like, oh, that was not really quite close. But I think the more time I've had from it, I'm like, okay, well, not ideal, but I'm really still like happy that I was able to do that and get that out of myself, I guess. So that's sort of sorry, I went on a bit of I was just like, oh well, there are a few things and I better just
That's quite, I mean, you went through quite a lot, hey. I mean, calves, Achilles and planners, they're just such common injuries, hey.
And see, like, I think if I wasn't trying to like rush and like make the deadline, they would have been pretty manageable. But I just like wasn't giving like any extra days.
So I mean, obviously it's a shame because you're at your best, and I think your PB was like 4:04 from like 2018. Right. So I mean, there's got to be a lot of you that thinks that you can get down near 4 minutes with Linden and Jessica, and it's just, oh,
I'd love that.
How did you fix this? There's got to be a lot of people listening to this that are sitting there with plantar pain, when they're waking up in the morning and stuff, because it's just so common. Like, were you wearing like one of those Strasbourg socks every night and doing calf stuff? How did you feel it?
So I felt like I was doing like everything. Like I even had, what's that, like that sort of like shock therapy on your heels. Do you know what? I'm not
Oh,
sure if that's what it's called.
no, I forget.
Yeah.
I'm having a
Yeah, I had that as well. I don't think that helped too much. Yeah, and I wore like that sort of brace you put on your foot that keeps
the
your
boot,
foot
yeah, that
like
keeps it
straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that at night.
Can you
Yeah,
sleep?
like
Did you sleep in that?
yeah, I slept in
Yeah.
it. I would ice it like straight after sessions because it would be so sore. So sort of, to be honest, tearing it actually, like it's felt so much better since tearing it. So that's not very helpful advice.
Yeah, I guess then it has a chance to heal properly
Yeah.
after you tear it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as well, like it was probably just like so tight before and sort of pulling on, I don't know, like the bone or the nerves or whatever. And I think tearing it sort of released it a little bit. What else has really helped me has been calf raises. Like I've just been doing so many calf raises with like the Smith machine, like seated and standing, and I think that's made a big difference. Also
And
for my
quite heavy,
Achilles.
quite like, are you loading up quite a lot with those?
Yeah, but I'm also, well, usually like 40, 50 kilos, but I'm sort of going quite slow. Like I'll go like up 1, 2 seconds and then down for 3 seconds and just like really fatiguing them. So like the next day they feel like jelly.
And are you doing isometric holds with them, or is it just kind of straight up and then like 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down sort of thing?
Yeah, it's sort of, I do a bit of a mix, but I reckon the like 2 seconds up, 3 seconds down, like that's been probably, I feel like, the most noticeable. Like that really makes them sore. Yeah.
Awesome. So I always assumed that you were sponsored by Adidas because you were kind of always wearing Adi stuff, and then I saw you wearing Nike spikes at nationals. What's happening on the sponsorship front?
Oh yeah, so I'd been sponsored by Adidas for quite a while. I'd sort of been getting free stuff from Adidas since World Juniors in 2014. So yeah, I feel like I've been wearing Adidas for ages, which I have. But yeah, last year I didn't run that fast and COVID as well. So in between sponsors at the moment. So sort of fun being able to wear whatever and sort of have play with different spikes and shoes as well. So yeah.
Nice. And obviously that's in Nick's domain now. Like, once you get back to running your best, and you just leave that stuff with Nick.
Yeah, which is sort of really relaxing. Like I'm just like, oh, I don't have to worry about it. Nick will sort it.
Yeah. Did you used to just do that stuff yourself, did you?
I actually had another manager, Total Sports in the US. But just, I think, with COVID, when I was doing most of my races in Australia, I actually changed to Nick. So I actually changed to Nick as my manager before, he coached me.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. I know you have a degree, I forget what, but what's happening now? Have you finished your degree and are you working?
Yeah, so I finished my degree in January, and it was a double degree of business, majoring in marketing and design, like graphic design. I'm sort of treating this year as a bit of a gap year because I'm going to be away for probably 3 or 4 months. Bit hard to start applying for jobs. I'm like, hey, hope you don't mind, I'm going to be away for 4 months. So I'll start looking for sort of jobs in sort of marketing, brand management type area when I come back. But I'm not in too much of a rush, just doing a bit of part-time work at the moment and focusing on running. So it's sort of nice not to have uni in the background and just be able to relax a bit more.
Cool. Hey, back to just quickly to World Champs and then Com Games. Do you know, is Jessica Hull focusing on the 5 now, or she's going to do the double, or do you know what who you're kind of up against? Obviously Linden and
so it's going to be really tough to make the 15 team. So I'm pretty sure Jess wants to do the 15 at World Champs. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm not sure what she wants to do at Com Games. So it will be really tough to make the 1500 team because there's some very quick girls.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm presuming you're not going to get to Leonora this year. You'll be in Europe.
No, I wish I could go to Leonora. I had lots of fun last time I went. It's a pretty fun town, and yeah. And last time I won the golden nugget as well, which is pretty cool. Like that doesn't, yeah.
Do you still have that nugget?
Yeah, I still have the nugget. I'm not sure what I should do with it. I'll wait for it to go up in value. Yeah.
I think, yeah. I mean, it probably has. I'm not too sure, but yeah, I think I was chatting to a mate that won the nugget in like 2004 or 5 or something, and he's still got his nugget. So
yeah.
Yeah, you just hold that stuff up.
Just waiting. Yeah.
In terms of your training, you know, every kind of miler and middle distance runner has their bread and butter things that they absolutely love, and just feels like gets them fit. What you know, when it comes to you, what are your sessions that you just love and that really work for you?
Sessions that, yeah, I really like, and if I do them well, I'm sort of like, oh yeah, I reckon I'm in good form. So in the past, have been something like 600, 300 meters twice, or maybe something like 400 meters with probably like 3 minutes break. Those really sort of, yeah, anaerobic type, go all out as hard as you can sessions. And if I can do them at like a pretty quick time, I'm like, yes, all right.
So is your weakness with your training kind of like, if you had to, you know, say your 30-minute thresholds and stuff, is that your kind of weak point when it comes to, you know, your sessions? Yeah,
well, definitely in the group, my threshold pace is a lot not as quick as the other girls. And definitely even things like 6 by 8K, I find pretty tough, especially with, like, I found a minute so short, like recovery time, and Nick gives a lot of like 60 seconds, sometimes 30 seconds recovery, which, yeah, I just find so tough. Yeah.
That's because like sometimes they're even kind of slow jogging, and it's not really, you don't just stand there.
Yeah, sometimes you just, you've got a jog recovery, which I don't think is fair. Yeah, not a big fan of that, but maybe you'll grow to like it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think Nick's proven that it totally works. So it's been lovely having you on, and you know, all the best. We'll have to catch up again later in the year, or early next year, and see how it all goes, but good luck making the teams.
Thank you so much, Sam. Lovely chatting to you, and thanks for having me.